Hello again, everyone. I'm back. I wanted to bring you other news that I have been following here. Among them, we have a measles case in Georgia. We have a TB outbreak in Kansas, Kansas City metro area. Also, a question. Do we have a war at the border, at the southern border? We just might. And if we don't now, I think we will be. It seems that way to me. I'll explain. Also, I have another good passage I will share with you. This one squares down on a biblical case to be made for preparation, for preparedness. So if you want to know a place in the Bible where it talks in the Bible about preparedness, this is a perfect one. So stay tuned for that. But first, we have a measles case in Metro Atlanta. Looks like the first one in 2025. Also, a TB, tuberculosis outbreak, Kansas City metro area. They're currently experiencing the largest reported outbreak of this in their history. This is a bacterial disease. It can impact multiple organs in the body, but most commonly the lungs. Now, people can also be carrying inactive TB in them as well and not be active, but it can be spread in the air. So from what this says, that TB can survive in the air for several hours. So fairly easy to spread. And it makes me wonder if these illnesses and other illnesses and infections and all this are tied to all the thousands and the millions of bodies who have traversed into the country against the law over the years. And I'm surprised. I think it's a miracle that we haven't had more serious outbreaks of illnesses because of that. So, which leads me into the mass deportations have definitely commenced and are ongoing. And from what I heard this Tom Homan guy say, they try to nail him and he just slices them back, like, I don't care. This is what we're doing, dude. This is what we're doing. We're going after the criminal element first, the violent criminals. And then, by the way, we're going to go after the others too, because they broke the law and they shouldn't be here. There's a legal process. He said I think some reporter asked him, like, is this what we're going to keep seeing? He said, this is just the beginning, and they're actually going to ramp up a lot more. We're just in the targeting of the criminal element first. You haven't seen nothing yet, is what he's saying. So I saw where, Kristi Noem, has just hit the ground running herself. The new secretary of the DHS, they're in New York City, or were today, or started yesterday or today. Anyway, heavily armed federal agents are targeting violent criminals there in New York City. Mayor Adams sounds like he is cooperating. That's a smart move. But she said, Noam said that she was in her uniform and the badge and everything. Said, yeah, we're in New York City. We're getting these dirt bags off the street. Man, do it to it. They're talking about they've gotten people who have committed some serious nasty stuff, some nasty crime, gang members as well. Speaking of which, Colorado, the feds raided a makeshift nightclub in Colorado. They discovered nearly 50 illegals there, including dozens that were connected to this Venezuelan gang, the Trinidagua. So that is good news as well. I saw where the Pittsburgh mayor says he will not cooperate with deportation efforts in Pittsburgh. He said the people here feel scared. Really? Who's feeling scared? I mean, the ones who are feeling scared are probably the ones that may need to be caught. Now, if you're a citizen, if you have critical thinking skills, and just from my point of view, I would think they want to get these people out, these especially the criminals, the ones who are doing damage to citizens. So that's interesting. Also, let's see. Yeah, it looks like Trump is using his full powers. I tell you, taking out the trash in more ways than one. Uh, Also, the people that are, especially the people that are blocking efforts to put a freeze on foreign aid right now, he's prioritizing Americans, which is what should happen. You know, we've spent all this time and all this money on protecting other countries and sending aid and all this stuff. I mean, why don't we do it here first, right? What a concept. Also, he was talking about building an Iron Dome in the United States, similar to what, on a scale of what Israel has. It's worked well for Israel. I mean, why not? I mean, we've helped Israel, we've helped other countries protect themselves. Why not us? I mean, it makes sense. I say go for it. Other news I saw where CNN, Jim Acosta, he'd been there for 15 years. I didn't realize that. But anyway, he quit. He announced that he is quitting CNN while he was on air, complaining and crying and all kind of stuff. What a punk. I mean, that's what we would call back in the day, and that's what I call somebody. He's just a punk. You know, he just needs to go away. Yeah. Anyway, bye. Well, bye. See you later. Good riddance. Are we at war at the southern border? I mean, it seems I saw some footage. I saw some articles about how some cartels on the Mexican side were taking shots, gunfire traded with the Border Patrol. And of course, Trump has designated the cartels as terrorist organizations. So, I mean, that's pretty much saying we're going to war with you. And so that's interesting. And since then, since he made that announcement, we've increased military presence at that southern border. I mean, you got the Screaming Eagles coming in there from the 101st. You got Marines in there with the Osprey helicopters. You got Army. You got National Guard going in there. Additional National Guard going to the border at several places. So also I saw where the State Department put out a big warning, saying for Americans to avoid border towns, Mexico, on the Mexican side, as far as Mexican border towns. You got running gun battles, you got kidnappings, a big travel warning there. In fact, I would be a little cautious on the American side, right up there on the border. I mean, really. I mean, it sounds like it's getting sporty. It's getting sporty down there. All right. So we will see what happens there. But hey, if you think about it, all the trafficking, the smuggling, the drugs, is killing hundreds of thousands of Americans every dang day. All the drugs, all the trafficking. It's awful stuff. The crime. I'm not going to disagree with doing this. I mean, protect our border. We have to have a nation. We have to have a control there to have a nation. Let's see, what else? Yeah, when I heard about the cartels firing at the Border Patrol, that happened in the around the Rio Grande area. Didn't give a lot of other details on that, but we can follow that and see what else is going on. But I'm glad he's putting some things into place to make, Americans first, please. I mean, why not? I mean, we've had 4 years of the opposite, So also, there's a lot of online chatter about the phrase cute winter boots. And this is primarily on TikTok, and from what I can gather, this is a phrase to kind of throw the algorithm off, first of all, as far as talking about the current administration and criticizing it, maybe organizing some resistance to it, some protests to the current administration and their efforts to do these mass deportations. It's interesting, we have code words for certain things, and we'll see how they work. Then this side, the leftists, are having their own code words. It sounds like are code phrases. But like I said yesterday, the evil doesn't rest. They are going to strike back. They're gonna do the protests. I think they're going to get in the streets for sure. We're just in winter. I think that's the only reason we haven't seen it on a mass scale. But that's coming. I really think that's coming. And give me your opinion. Do we have a war at the border? I think, if not already, I think it's brewing. I do think so, but it may be necessary. Target the bad guys, try to minimize collateral damage, of course. But it's a mess. I mean, after the last 4+ years, I mean, it's really, especially the last 4 years, it has been such a disaster that it will take a Herculean effort to turn that around. And they've got off to a great start, I believe, as far as that's concerned. But it's going to have to sustain to make a dent, to make a difference, I believe. I'm going to go to a passage. This is a good one. If anybody says, it's not biblical, it's not biblical to prep and stock up on food, wrong. They're wrong. In Genesis, of course, we know the story about Joseph. And during his time in Egypt, and how the Pharaoh put him pretty much in charge of almost everything in Egypt. And he interpreted the dream of Pharaoh having 7 years of abundance, and as far as crops, and then having 7 years of famine. So when he put Joseph in charge, Joseph makes preparations. So we're in Genesis chapter 41. Starting verse 46, it says, Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. It was beyond measure. Therefore, when the famine came, as we know, they were about the only country around that had food. He prepared. So if that's not preparation, I don't know what is, right? Of course, we know Noah. Noah prepared, listened to God, and made about his preparations. And got lambasted for it, I'm sure. We know. Wow, so as in the days of Noah. So share your thoughts on these things. Hope it was helpful. Let's be safe. Let's keep our heads on a swivel. Let's be careful when we go out and observant. Let's stay close to Jesus, our Savior. God bless you all. I'll see you soon.